morning, and thank you for having me here. I told my kids I was coming to Paris, and they said, to see Taylor Swift? And this is exactly why I'm here, for Taylor Swift. Today I want to talk about transformation, and more accurately, I want to tell the story of how I lost all my hair and how it got gray in the same year. It started about 10 years ago. I got a call from a friend of mine and a former boss, and he said he had joined a 50-year-old financial services company. He was going to be their very first chief technology officer. And he said, I need some help. I'm calling in a favor. If I've ever done anything to help you in your life, you need to come and help me. I said, well, what kind of help do you need? He says, well, I need to transform this company. I said, oh, okay. Is this like a technology project? Are you moving from like maybe one of those monolithic platforms to microservices? He said, oh, yes, that. But there's more. I said, oh, is this like moving from waterfall to agile? He said, oh, yes, that too. I said, okay. Do you have anybody in the product team? Oh, no, we don't know what product is, but we wish to do that too. I said, my goodness, where is this company located? And he said, we are in St. Paul, Minnesota. Now, for many people that may not be familiar with the Midwest of the USA, this is a very cold place. I mean, the average temperatures are like 20 degrees Celsius to like -3 degrees Celsius. People ski to walk in the winter in this place. It is ridiculous. I said, how did you end up here? He said, so I said, okay, I will come to visit. So I'm heading out here. You know, I leave a city. I keep driving to the back of a railway track. And I get into an office building. It looks like a scene from that TV show, The Office. I don't know if you've seen it. Tall, giant cubicles. There was no light in the building. The only light you will see came from all the executive offices around the building. Lots of fax machines, printers, paper everywhere. Now, it's important for you to understand the nature of this company. This company is what you will call a financial printer. It's not a common term, but this company printed financial documents like disclosures, proxies, prospectus. Pretty much if your company were going public or you were trying to buy another company, you use them to print out these documents. You see, in the late 60s or 70s, the way this company worked, they will print out a document for the government. Somebody will carry the document in a briefcase with handcuffs, get on a plane, and then take it to the government, because you cannot disclose what somebody's quarterly earnings will be before it's announced. So they dealt with secure documents. Now, I'm thinking to myself, okay, then what are they doing now? So we do mergers and acquisitions. We have conference rooms all around the world where people will meet together to negotiate a deal. And we offer them wine, and we offer them steak, and they are very happy, and this is what our business was. I mean, I even visited a deal room in Japan where the front of the deal room was a restaurant and the back was a laundromat, because you couldn't see two executives going in to do a deal. And I'm saying to myself, so what does this company want to do? They say they want to be a tech company. Really? And so I called up my friend, Matty Kagan, founder of SVPG. He's been a great friend and mentor for years. And I told him, you know, I was considering taking up the challenge of joining this company. And in the great words of Matty Kagan, he says, all right, I will give you great advice, my friend. Don't do it. He said, you're more likely to grow wings and fly than to transform a 50-year-old legacy company into a modern tech company. And he said, well, if there's anybody that I know that is crazy enough, but will likely have a shot at making this happen, it's probably going to be you. And I'm thinking to myself, I have spent my career building startups working in growth stage companies, scaling companies, do the same principles that worked in those companies, do they apply to an enterprise company? A 4,000 person company, a $1.8 billion company that had offices in 23 companies, can they work in the same manner that a startup or a scale-up or a growth stage company could work? And so I raced to do an assessment. I had to understand the nature of the business, how they work. I had to understand how they solve problems, the dynamics in the culture. Let me set the stage with some of the players. The company had a CEO that had just come in from IBM, a technology leader. He was a champion of this way of working. His first hire was like a head of sales because this company was truly sales-led. The only reason people will buy a printer to print out paper for them is because they love the salesperson and they gave them the best deal. The only reason you choose the conference room is because they had the best steak or the best wine. So we had to wrangle a sales culture. I was brought in by the CTO. They had a legacy board that wanted performance, had goals, wanted you to keep building things in that way. Customer service and support was influential because they had to keep customers happy because the product did not solve problems in a meaningful way. Now, like any legacy project company, Merrill Corporation built things this way. They solve problems this way. They have a great idea, and you have to justify the idea with a business case. We need to know what this is going to cost us, how long it will take for us to get this. And then the finance team assigns a project manager from the Enterprise Project Management Office to oversee this project, to make sure it's delivered on time, on budget, and within scope. They had business analysts who would go around and gather the requirements and then ship off those requirements to a development team in Asia. They didn't really think design was important, but sometimes we might want to make things look pretty. And they started working in sprints, but they released about once or twice every year. Now, I'm looking at this, and the biggest indication of working this way was a culture where there was no accountability. Constantly, people blamed other people when things broke. Why are we late on this release? Oh, we found a lot of bugs in production. The engineers were moving. Engineers are like, whoa, don't blame us. It's those designers always trying to make things look pretty. Don't blame. How you can say it's the design problem? This is a product management problem. Scope creep, changing things last minute, can't get clarity on the requirements. Product managers like, it's not our fault. There was a roadmap. We need to deliver in October. Well, the business case didn't give us enough time, didn't give us enough money. Well, the idea just sucked in the first place. That was the culture. Now, they didn't draw how they worked like this on a wall. But I could look for indications that this company worked in this similar manner. And regardless of where you are in your journey, in your company, I want to see if any of these things resonated with you, because these were the consistent symptoms I saw in this company. The engineers that they had were mostly outsourced, and they were used as mercenaries, delivery teams. Just build that. Go deliver this for us. Engineers did not participate in deciding what was done or in how it was done. On the team, they worked on roadmaps without any evidence that what was on that roadmap was the most important thing, was the best solution to the problem. Product managers, if they even existed, were more like project managers, spending their time running from meetings to meetings, traffic policing, crying every night after work. Design, even when it existed, was a downstream impact. Oh, so maybe we need some designers. Okay, let's ask design to make that thing look pretty after we've built it. The big emphasis in the company, dates, shipping things, releasing, futures. How many things have we built today? How many things did we launch this quarter? What's the velocity? Measurements on all outputs. Company did not take big risk. They did not do innovations. They did not solve big problems. They just focused on optimizing, tweaking what they had consistently. Salespeople drove the decisions that they made. Customer support driving force. They were reactive in the culture. Customers want this. They are threats to the business. Oh, we are working on an MVP. Don't worry. We'll fix everything in version 1.2 or version 2.0. But of course, we never get to version 1.2 because we are on to the next fire, on to the next important thing. When was the last time we used data to inform our decisions, to decide the things we do? When was the last time we actually talked to a real customer? To somebody we are solving a problem for, not through the sales rep or the support group. Oh my goodness, everybody works in silos. No team knows what the other team is doing. Boy, but you know, we only have 20 things on the list, and they are all number one. Everything is important, and important right now. We complain about dependencies on other teams that we're working on, misalignment of goals. Two teams working on the same thing, but don't even know they are working on the same thing. And by goodness, it just takes too long to get anything done in the company. Anyone here feel like their company suffers from one of these things? Some of these things? Perhaps all of these things? My friends, you may be working in a legacy project model. Now, don't get me wrong. Beside all of those things, the company had real motivation to change. Most companies transform out of fear. You know, we've got competitive threats in our industry. Amazon has decided to come into our space. We've got to evolve. They might change out of frustration. We are spending a lot of money on technology, but we are not getting the benefits from all of our investments. Other companies will transform out of excitement. My goodness, look at all the best companies in the world. They are like Apple and Google, and we want to work like them so that we can get the same kind of financial rewards, the same kinds of gains like they do. For Merrill Corporation, for DataSite, they had stopped growing. They only grew by acquisitions. This company had acquired 9 companies over the last decade just to grow. Salespeople had to sell a commodity because everybody is like, there are conference rooms everywhere. Which conference room should I use? The one who bought me a great steak. They were threats to their business from digital disruptors because customers were saying, well, why do I need to go to a conference room to do a deal? Can't you just send me a secure document over those things like Google Drive or Dropbox? So they were losing market share to new tech entrants in their space. Moreover, when we think about what these companies grew, you can see just a real true incentive. They had tried 6 times to transform the company to something better and had failed. And the cycle goes with leaders come, they try something, the leaders go because it failed. So they had real motivation, but real motivation does not equate change. Because real transformation means you have to change from this legacy project model to what we are calling the product model. You kind of have to change from your cultural focus on output to one that was focused on outcomes. This truly means, my friends, you are changing how you decide what to do. You are changing how you do those things, and you're changing how you build things. The first thing I realized in this company we had to do, we really had to change how we build things. How can we say we take care of our customers when it takes us a week to fix something, a year to launch something, to release something? How can we move to outcomes when we don't know what our work will impact. If we don't have any instrumentation to tell us when things go wrong, any way to monitor what's going on our platform, how can we truly solve problems for our business in a timely manner when we can't respond well? For this company, it meant a lot of things. It meant we had to kill 6 other legacy platforms to do this. It meant the company had to move from a monolithic architecture to a microservices architecture. They had to sunset a lot of services that were hurting the business because they created tech debt. They will work for 2 weeks and create 3 months of tech debt. They are moving backwards. You had to change how you automated and move to full test automation, move to CI/CD, move from releasing twice a year to multiple times a day. They had to create ways to monitor and observe performance within the company. They had to invest in data, invest in analytics. This was the single biggest investment the company could make in technology. To put it in perspective, when we were building a new platform, one of the things when you do a mergers and acquisitions deal is permissions were very important. You had to secure a document with different permissions. You can see something, but you cannot print it. You can read something, and you can only read a certain part of it because you had to provide those things in a company. We get a call one early Monday morning from one of our biggest customers. They do billions of dollars of deals on the platform. And the investment banker calls up and says, so I think I may have found a security issue on your platform. I should not be able to print a document, but with a keyboard shortcut, I can actually print it. This is a big risk to all of our deals. I have told this to my boss. We want a meeting. It is 9 o'clock. We want a meeting at 11 o'clock with your CEO because we want to cancel our multi-million-dollar contract with you. Of course, this message escalates from customer support all the way to the head of product. I say, well, welcome to Monday. It's that kind of a day. I go to the head of engineering. I say, look, is this a real thing? He calls some engineers. He says, wow, it is a real problem. I say, oh, this is really that kind of a day. So I call up the CEO. I say, today is going to be a bad day in our company history. We're about to lose a big client because of an issue on the platform. They have scheduled a call for 11 o'clock. I would love for you to be on that call. About 45 minutes later, the team had diagnosed the problem and they had found a way to fix it and they deployed it. I get a call back 45 minutes to 11 o'clock from the investment banker again. He says, so I know I had called this morning very upset and screaming at you, but this must have been an error on my part. We love you. I was just on it and I don't seem to see that problem again. It must have been something I was doing wrong. We don't need to talk to your CEO. We love your company. Great. We'll do a lot of deals with you. Thank you very much. I called the CEO up. I said, look, the 11 o'clock meeting is going to be canceled. He said, why? What happened? I've already informed the chairman of our board that we are going to be crying later today. What's going on? I said, well, the team found the issue and they fixed it. He says, wait, hold up a minute here. First of all, the time it took for them to diagnose the problem was very impressive. The time it took for them to resolve the problem is even more impressive. But what I am shocked by is that the customer realized that solution within an hour. And he said, look, I have spent millions of dollars on technology projects, but for the first time in my career, I truly understand what it means to be agile. Because true agility is your organization's ability to respond to changes in your marketplace or in your industry very quickly. Today, I see how quickly we fixed an issue. It tells me we can go after opportunities that quickly as well. Jeff Bezos makes the argument that really being agile is your only true sustainable advantage. Now, the next pillar for us that we really had to tackle was an important one. was changing how we solve problems. If you have a project team, it makes sense to have project managers. If you have a project team, it makes sense to fund projects. And when you start to evolve, you might say, let's have a delivery team, a bunch of engineers. We give them things to do, just prioritize it. That's a delivery team. You may say, well, let's give people things to do. We give them a roadmap of futures and projects. That's a future team. But to really transform to outcomes, you need a cross-functional, empowered product team. We had to change how we solved problems. The company brought me in as a head of product. The company had business analysts, over 120 of them. I had one-on-ones with all 120 people. And I said to them, in the past, we delivered projects. It meant we had to gather requirements. We are no longer playing that sport. We are now focused on solving problems. As such, I don't have a role for a business analyst anymore. What I need are product managers. I will coach you over the next 3 months to be a product manager, or I will give you 3 months of severance or a pay package. The next morning, over 80 people quit. And I had to build a product team from scratch. They had no design. I had to hire a design leader, build a design team from scratch. They had outsourced all their engineers. We had to build a case to bring them all in because we want a team of missionaries, not a team of mercenaries. We had to move how we provided money for the things we did. Rather than funding projects, we had to fund people to solve problems. The company had never done that thing people call discovery. Why should we trust a group of people called product managers to tell us what to build and tell us how to do it? They don't know our business. They don't know our customers. They don't have our data. And so I had to make our teams learn. I had to make them learn fast, and I had to make them learn visibly. In my first 3 months in the company, I observed 25 IPOs, 36 M&A deals. In the first year with the product team, we had over 850 customer interactions because we had to earn the right to be the experts in the customer, in the company, in order to earn the right to make a decision on how we solve problems. Right around this, to put it in perspective, the company does redaction of documents where they have to hide certain things in documents. They were in the process of implementing this with the technology. Right around when this was happening, there was a big lawsuit for Donald Trump on TV where they had redacted some documents, and people quickly found out that if you just highlighted all the things that were covered in the document, you could see what was behind it. Many companies freaked out. Whoa, you mean when we put a black mark over a document, it doesn't actually destroy what is going on there? All of our customers could not trust technology to solve this problem. So they will manually print out the document, take a marker, write it, sharpen over it, photocopy it again, and scan it. We knew we had to use technology to enable this. An engineer comes up and says, you know, we have to destroy what's behind this because the metadata still exists. If not, we can't do this. He did a feasibility prototype, looking at things like I can map out the document and we can destroy content in it. We then did a live data prototype. We built an AI website and just put it out to see if people cared about using technology to do this. All of the first customers that signed up were government institutions. We want that. We need that technology in here. We ended up building this into our product, became a significant market differentiation. But the idea to do this did not come from an executive, did not come from the customer. It came from the product team. It came from an empowered engineer given a problem to solve. Mark Andreessen argues that the most important thing is really for you to know what you don't know. You have to get arrogance and ego out of product work. Humility is the core of what we do in this discipline. That our job is to understand there's risk involved in whatever we do and to tackle the risk by knowing. what those things are. The final pillar, and really the crux of our transformation journey, was changing how we decided what problems to solve. This is what people might refer to as when they say you're a product-led company. They probably are trying to tell you that the product drives the opportunities you go after, not that the opportunities drive the products that you build. That's kind of what this means. Most companies struggle with an identity crisis. Many of you probably see your companies in this light. You only work on urgent things. You're always reactive. The things you work on come from salespeople screaming, customer support complaining, people doing competitive analysis, you always playing catch up. You're constantly firefighting. This, my friends, is the absence of context. We had to create a compelling product vision to unify the company, to bring people together. And that product vision was driven in a manner that suggested we are going to have the best M&A deal platform in the planet for the whole life cycle of any deal. My friends, this meant we had to focus. In an insight-based strategy, prioritization is implicit. This is one of the hardest conversations I have with leaders of so many companies, is focusing on just a few things and the rationale for why. Focus does not mean saying yes to a few things. Focus means saying no to things that are making money. Saying no to things that your stakeholders, your leaders have already signed up for. Saying no to things that have been funded, have staff, have people, because you are choosing to focus on something else. This company divested, sold off everything in the company that was not focused on measures and acquisitions or technology. I watched a $1.8 billion company become a $200 million company in 18 months because of focus. Most people ask me, how in the world did you get salespeople on board? How in the world did you shift the power of influence in the company from sales to your product team? I say, well, what you're probably really asking me is how did we move from a subservient model to a truly collaborative one? When I joined the company and realized salespeople were the ones telling everybody what to do, I realized they knew the customer the best. In the first 3 months, I made the product goals sales goals. I made all the OKRs of the product team's sales goals. What do I mean by that? Product team, what are you working on? I'm working on win-loss ratio. I'm working on improving the average customer value. Why? Because when a salesperson says, why are you here, product manager, in my meeting? They say to the salesperson, why are you here? What's your goal? What's your goal? I had to give the product team permission to be in the same room with the sales team, and the salespeople had to care. I made it a right that every new product manager had to spend a month with sales. You're there to help them, you're going to intern, you're going to shadow with the salespeople. I invited salespeople to come into discovery, to come into sprint planning. It was open for them to do that. Every sales leadership meeting, I was there. Every product leadership meeting, I brought the salesperson there, the head of sales. In a short amount of time, we moved to become partners because they knew us, because they liked us, because they trusted us. Lisa Kilgore, former CMO of Netflix, kind of makes this argument that you want to lead your teams with context and not with control. This company became one of the most attractive technology companies in the country, attracting engineering talent from all over the world. We won awards in technology. We won awards in AI. We won awards in innovation. We won awards in service, in sales, in support, because it was not just a technology transformation, it was a company transformation. The company rebranded itself from Merrill Corporation to DataSite. In 3.5 years, we had created a new B2B SaaS company from a financial printer. This $200 million company, when I left the company, was valued at almost $2 billion. And 5 years later this year, sold for almost $4 billion. This is what it means to transform. It's a journey. There is no right or wrong. Probably direction, probably destination, probably input. It means you're changing how you decide what to do. You're changing how you solve the things you've decided to do. And it means you're changing how you build it. It means these concepts have to be true. You have to have a product culture. You have to have strategy. You have to have product teams. You have to do discovery and delivery. You need new competencies because you're playing a different sport. You're no longer delivering projects. You're now solving problems. You need true product managers. You need designers. You need engineers. You need leadership. Those concepts house the right principles that we find to be consistently true in the best companies in the world. That this team is empowered to solve a problem. That we are focused on outcomes, not output. That they have a sense of ownership and they collaborate with one another. It houses strategy. Oh, strategy means focus, my friends. It means you're using insights, customer knowledge, and data. There's transparency in your environment. You can place a big bet. The mindset of discovery is you're minimizing waste. You're doing discovery before delivery. You're tackling the risk up front. You're embracing experimentation. Experimentation doesn't mean that if you know it's going to work, it's not an experiment. You're testing ideas responsibly. You're delivering things in small, frequent releases. You're monitoring. You have instrumentation. It means a culture where the principles trump the process. Dr. Jam Holinker, who runs the Mayo Clinic in the US, says, look, principles will trump all of the changes you make because they truly reflect who you are or who you want to be. In case you missed the point in all of my stories today, real transformation means winning hearts and minds. It means communication, constant evangelism. It means some people will have to get off the bus. Real transformation is a change in culture and mindset. It's not process, it's not frameworks, it's not new layers of bureaucracy, because you're changing more how we do things than what we do. Real transformation requires a whole amount of courage. Because no matter how much you want to survive, there's a difference if you want to thrive. And real leaders understand that real transformation means you have the guts to take a step without the confidence that that is a solid step, and a willingness to take the next one with the same approach. I have not met a business transformation that did not start with a personal transformation. I was thinking about this talk, and I don't know if you saw this, to bring it to real life in our world, what a project model and a product model can look like. NASA gave $6.8 billion to 2 companies over 10 years ago. And they said, we want you to build things to send people to space. One company was called the Boeing Corporation. The other was called SpaceX. The Boeing Corporation worked in the project model, and SpaceX worked in the product model. You've probably seen that company called SpaceX. Since 2020, they have sent 9 rocket ships up to space and 4 private ships up to space. Boeing Corporation, last week, for the very first time, wanted to send their first Spaceliner rocket ship up to space. Astronauts were sitting in there 2 hours before takeoff, we are going to cancel this trip to space for technical issues. My friends, to be clear, Boeing was already 7 years late and $1.6 billion over budget. And SpaceX was 4 years early and under budget. We might think the project mindset or the product mindset is not permeative in our world, but we see it every day in everything we do. I do a lot of work in Africa with my nonprofit. I build a product community, I coach and I advise many teams there. And I'm going back to Nigeria, my home country. A week before, I had just watched on national TV, the country had launched a brand new international airport. A $100 million project, 10 years late. Everybody's cutting the ribbon. The president is clapping. Everybody's celebrating. I was like, wow, well, I have a trip next week. I would love to see this new airport. We land at the airport, and the pilot announces, we are not going to be able to park in the new terminal. I say, why can't we park in the new terminal? The jet bridge does not fit the airplane. I say, you're saying a car cannot park in a parking lot? Why do you build an airport that a plane cannot land in? I need you to understand this, because the goal was to deliver an airport project, not to solve a problem. Or you look at things that happen in Spain, where they spent almost 300 million euros to buy trains that cannot fit in a tunnel. You might think this talk is just to talk about transformation, but this talk is about you. I am making an appeal that we need product people, an appeal that we need a product mindset. We need true product managers. We need true designers. We need true engineers. Because the world cannot afford failed projects. The world cannot afford the mindset where people are used as factory workers, where the knowledge, the skills, the magic of people working together is ignored. It has been nothing but my highest honor to spend this time with you today. I'm glad to welcome you to the conference. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.